It was 1944 and a star was born. Opposite Mickey Rooney, it's a young Elizabeth Taylor in National Velvet. Just one in a long and captivating line of movies about horses and young people. Young people played by young actors who went on to enjoy fame and fortune long after the hoofbeats faded away. Enter now newcomer Tom Burlinson, plunging headlong toward overnight success in 1983 with a romantic action-adventure movie called The Man from Snowy River. That movie is in re-release now here in Oklahoma City. It's the story of a boy becoming a man in the dangerous wild horse high country of Australia. Though it's only his first film, Tom is already being tagged for international stardom in Australia's most successful movie ever. Teamed with Kirk Douglas, the newcomer holds his own like a seasoned veteran.
Tom looks the role so well. This was the reason why I think we cast him. When Tom did the screen test with Sigrid Thornton, sparks flew. Within about 3 seconds of the on-camera, we knew we had the role cast. There was just no doubt about it. The two of them worked superlatively together.
A big part of the playing the character Jim Craig in the film was the romance, the story of the love story between the boy and the girl. I was lucky in that Sigrid and I became quite close during the filming. I mean, it's always easier if you like the person you're playing opposite.
You've got to treat the mountains like a high-spirited horse. Never take them for granted.
It's the same with people, too.
The Man from Snowy River was a tremendous career opportunity for me. I've done a lot of thinking about it, but I just figure that in this business, you're very lucky if you get a break.
It looks as if Tom Burlinson is up on horseback and off in pursuit of the Hollywood dream. I'm Dino Lally. I always have a lot of people asking me what some of the newer films will be for 1983.
Hey, Dino! What will be some of the newer films from 1983?
Hey, man, we're taping right now, okay? Give me a break. Golly. Right. So I thought I would just take the time and tell you what we can expect in the movie theaters this year. I wish I had some film clips to show you, but I won't be receiving those for quite a while. So what is the forecast for 1983? It appears that the summer will be pretty interesting, especially with the third installment of the Star Wars series. This one will be called Revenge of the Jedi. A lot of things will be wrapped up, such as the fate of Han Solo and the paternity of Luke Skywalker.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker. But you are not a Jedi yet.
We'll see about that, Darth. Also in 1983 will be 2 James Bond films, one starring Roger Moore and the other Sean Connery. Should be interesting. Heartthrob Tom Selleck will be appearing in a film called High Road to China. It will also star Bess Armstrong and Jack Weston. For USC TV fans, John Candy, Joe Flaherty, and Eugene Levy will be in a film called Going Berserk. And we probably will be after seeing the movie. Now, for the films that will be opening pretty soon, Meryl Streep will be in Sophie's Choice. Jessica Lange is the star of a film called Frances. Sting 2, starring Jackie Gleason, Mac Davis, and Oliver Reed, will also be here later in the year. Superman 3 will be flying into theaters around summertime, along with, help us all, the sequel to Porky's called Porky's the Next Day. Yeah. Another sequel called Psycho 2 will be opening around May. And are you ready for this one, folks? Jaws 3 in 3D. Don't they ever learn? Why can't they leave well enough alone? Now, those are just a few of the films I selected at random. There are, of course, many more that will be hitting the big screen this year. Many, many more. A lot of them. Quite a few. And I will be there watching every single one of them, reviewing and rating them for you, and letting you know the results. Until then, I better get some glasses. I'm Dino Lally. Argus, how are you doing today?
I'm a lot better than I was yesterday.
I'm
adjusting to the Central Time Zone.
Well, now, what does it mean to you when you come back to Oklahoma? How do you feel?
Pain. and the kind of pain that comes from nostalgia and no sleep.
And no sleep. That has a lot to do with it.
You come back to a great station like I want to say WKY, KTVY, which has been my flagship station since I was a 4-year-old kid who used to come on Danny's Day and Foreman and Scotty.
How many times have you been on The Tonight Show now?
Let's see, 8 or 9. I'm fixing to do it again in the first 2 weeks of February. My talent coordinator, Jim McCauley, approved my material right after I got back from Jokers in December. And they schedule it about a month ahead of time. And in order to be on with Mr. Carson, Mr. Carson to me, yes sir, Mr. Carson, anything you say, sir, my hero. And anyway, they schedule it a month in advance when he's the host. Because during the February rating sweeps, he always hosts the show.
That helps.
Well, yes, I guess when they pay off your salary and RCA stock, you have an incentive.
That's right. And NBC needs all the help they can get.
Yes, they do, because they're now running fourth behind Atari. And I'm trying to get hired by them and doing my promos on NBC. So I'm not one to thump a free watermelon. I'm a grateful interviewee.
Before I forget it, I want to say, since this will be airing today, you will be appearing tonight.
Come see me, please. We have 2 shows.
Two shows.
I'll squeeze you in. Especially that second show.
Yeah,
we'll find
that's right.
room for you. If you don't want to see me, come see the show anyway, because there's another couple of real funny guys on.
Yeah. Larry Miller.
Larry Miller.
Jimmy
Pineapple.
Pineapple.
David Bell.
David Bell.
Who's a funny. All three of them.
All three were great. Can you tell us about any of the projects you have going right now back in Los Angeles?
I'm gonna try to do as many Carson shots this year as I can, and the more I do that, maybe the more I'll remind somebody up there that I could host a show myself. I don't want to do situation comedies and play a character I'm not. I just want to stand on stage and do my monkey shine, says Argus Hamilton.
Well, I wish you, of course, all the luck in the world. And because ever since I interviewed you the first time in L.A., I feel like we've known each other for years.
Yeah, thank you.
And
you've given me a lot of publicity for Jokers, and I appreciate it, Dino. And it's always good to be here at my flagship station, Channel 4.
And good luck tonight.
Okie dokie. Thank you, Dino.
You're welcome.
Good to be home. The more foolishly confident I am that I can pull it off. No.
The agent got a telegram, and it just said he is coming.
He not only is coming, he has already arrived. His name?
Ghandi, Mohandas K. Ghandi.
And this movie called Ghandi is an impressive, moving, inspiring, magnificent, and masterful film. It will always have a special place in film history. Costing $22 million to make, this film represents a 20-year dream come true for producer-director Richard Attenborough. And he did a splendid job, and I truly believe Ghandi will be used to describe the high point in his career. This is a film about the life of a man, a little but powerful man, Mohandas K. Ghandi, who led India to independence from British rule in 1947. The film depicts his lifelong struggle to free India peacefully. The movie's opening sequence is of Gandhi's assassination in 1948 by a religious fanatic in New Delhi. It's there we're taken backwards to trace the life of one of the 20th century's true men of peace. Starting in the early 1890s in South Africa, we see Ghandi as a young British-educated attorney fighting prejudice in the British enforced system. Then shifting to India, where Ghandi is already becoming a minor celebrity, he is eventually thrown in jail as he continues his fight. The film proceeds through his life and ends once again with his assassination in 1948. What is captured in between are his defeats and triumphs. We see his peaceful, non-violent resistance in trying to drive the British from India. Although Ghandi fought in the peaceful concept of civil disobedience, the journey is by no means tranquil. Thousands of people were beaten and slaughtered, which included one British massacre of 1,500 Indian men, women, and children by British soldiers. The British tried to deal with Ghandi, but they found that he was a very consistent man and had such an easy way of getting the point across.
You don't think we're just going to walk out of India?
Yes. In the end, you will walk out. Because 100,000 Englishmen simply cannot control 350 million Indians if those Indians refuse to cooperate. And that is what we intend to achieve. Peaceful, non-violent, non-cooperation. Till you yourself see the wisdom of leaving.
The true star of the movie is Ben Kingsley as Ghandi. Kingsley is an Anglo-Indian stage actor making his film debut, and what a debut. He is magnificent and at times mesmerizing in his portrayal of the world's spiritual leader. He seems to have captured Ghandi's true spirit. Kingsley commands the screen in a peaceful, quiet manner as he bears a striking physical resemblance. Supporting cast members are also impressive. They include Martin Sheen as an American journalist, Candice Bergen as photographer Margaret Burke-White. Other supporting members include Edward Fox, Sir John Gielgud, Trevor Howard, Ian Charleston, Rohani Ghandi, and Roseanne Syed. On my rating scale, Ghandi rates a 10. Now, although 10 is supposed to be perfect, Ghandi is not a perfect film. Oh, it's close. I'm giving it a 10 because it is such a well-made film and the impact is so great. Now, there are some slow moments because it's a 3-hour movie. Ghandi is overwhelming at times and its ultimate triumph is immeasurable. Ghandi is a great statement on humanity. I'm Dino Lally.
Strawberry ox. Okay, bye-bye. Bye.
Crossing the street on his way to school one morning, 6-year-old Alex Selke waved goodbye to his mother, walked around the corner, and vanished without a trace. 20th Century Fox presents a Stanley Jaffe production of the heroic suspense drama Without a Trace. It stars Kate Nelligan as Susan Selke and Judd Hirsch as the police detective assigned to find her missing son.
What was the boy wearing? You remember what he had on?
What was the boy wearing?
He had brown corduroys. He had on a dark blue jacket, pale blue scarf, and blue running shoes.
Mrs. Selke, has there been anything bothering Alex lately? Any quarrels or spankings or anything like that?
No, nothing.
Has he ever threatened to run away before?
No.
The picture Without a Trace is not about missing children. It's not intended to be a polemic. It's intended to be an examination of people in a time of crisis. And the center of that attention is the mother of the child who's disappeared.
Canadian-born Kate Nelligan is no stranger to demanding roles. Her laudatory work on both the English and Broadway stage has won her world renown. Her performance in the movie Eye of the Needle brought her to the attention of producer-director Stanley Jaffe.
In Kate Nelligan, we have a woman who gives to the audience the tenacity that role absolutely needed. It's also a woman who stays very reserved during it. Though her insides are falling apart, she realizes that unless she keeps it together, that the whole investigation will fall apart.
We have a report that Dr. Selke's 6-year-old son has been missing since 9 this morning. Is it true that the mother didn't report the child missing until...
Then why did you do that? Wouldn't that help?
That's a real can of worms. We don't ring that now.
Somebody must have seen something.
Yes, somebody must have seen him, and we're going to find them. But if you open this up to the press right now, you're going to get the crazies and the haters and the people who have those funny dreams.
I don't care if I have to talk to every lunatic in the city. Somebody has seen my boy. I think there's a difference between calm and sensible. The woman is irremediably logical and smart. She's a smart woman. And she's not calm at all, but she's someone who can master herself to make herself do things that other people can't do in the same situation.
Without a Trace opens tomorrow in local theaters. I'm Dino Lally.
Now, look, Mrs. Selke, I've seen a lot of custody fights, and they always begin with, my husband wouldn't do that to me. Now, look, I know how you feel.
Don't tell me how I feel. You felt what I feel.
My name is Ghandi, Mohandas K. Ghandi.
And everybody is talking about him. The film Ghandi is once again at the top of my list of movies to try and see this weekend. It's a moving and inspirational film about the legendary pacifist leader who freed India from British rule in 1947. Ben Kingsley is the true star of the film, and it is truly the role of a lifetime for him, as his performance is remarkable. Producer-director Sir Richard Attenborough takes us through the 3 hours without losing momentum, although there are just a couple of slow spots. Supporting roles were filled by Martin Sheen, Candice Bergen, John Gielgud, and Trevor Howard. All the performances are impressive. Ghandi is masterful and heroic, and it is a humbling film experience. Rated PG, I'm giving Ghandi a 10. Now going from one end to the other, big budget to low budget, Timerider is a low-budget film that's really pretty enjoyable. It's pure science fiction escapism. A famous motorcycle rider is caught in a time warp and sent back over 100 years. He lands in the middle of some pretty wild people who obviously don't know what this machine is. And when it accidentally starts, well, the Wild West bad guys act accordingly. I'm sure I'd react the same way. Timerider is lots of fun. It's not well produced, the flaws are there. But if you see this one, just sit back, relax, and enjoy it. The story has some unique twists, as does the ending. Timerider is rated PG on their scale and a 6 on mine. There are 3 new films opening this weekend, and the titles, The Entity, Without a Trace, and The Personals. And as a side note, a native Oklahoman, Vicky Dakel, has a supporting role in The Personals. And that's it for now. I'll see you next week. I'm Dino Lally. A woman's bravery and a police detective's relentless search for her missing son provide the elements of suspenseful human drama in a movie called Without a Trace. The film marks Stanley Jaffe's directorial debut. As a highly successful producer, his films have shared a common theme. The Bad News Bears, Taps, and his Oscar-winning Kramer vs. Kramer all illustrate his love and concern for children. Without a Trace continues that tradition.
What I hope they'll come away with is more appreciation of their children. Again, he was a mother who was a very good mother, who found just how much a vacuum could be created if you remove from her life her child. If it comes to somebody going home and hugging their child after seeing the movie, then we would have been successful.
Kate Nelligan stars as Susan Selke, a woman of strength and intelligence who passionately clings to the belief that her son will return.
When I read the script, I remember saying to Stanley Jaffe, the producer and director of the picture, I keep thinking I would have given up. I don't know how she keeps going. In utter isolation, too. It's not as though everyone around her is cheering her on. Everyone's telling her she's crazy. The child is dead. Give up. Move on. And she refuses to.
Judd Hirsch plays veteran police detective Al Manetti.
Hi, Sandy. How's the mother? She's good, surprisingly. I mean, she hasn't fallen apart yet.
My wife saw her in the news last night. She said she was so calm, she was almost too calm.
Oh, man, that's what that looks like, Tom. Yeah, right. There must be something weird about these people. They must have deserved it. It can happen to them, it can't happen to me. You know something? My son is almost exactly the same age as Alex.
A cop can be on the force for 20 years and never have any case come close enough because it doesn't match anything in his life. This one does. He starts to think about his own child being kidnapped and what he would do. And I believe he starts to think about it for the first time.
Judge, what he has for me is that he's everybody in the audience. He is empathetic for an audience. He seems to be compassionate. He's got an intelligence. And as we were doing this picture in New York City, it was important that he be believably New York.
I will be reviewing Without a Trace later on this week. I'm Dino Lally.
Yes, but why don't you let me call them on the phone?
Yeah, okay.
Timerider is one of those films from which you can get the wrong impression at first. Yes, it is a low-budget picture. Yes, the plot is a little hokey. And yes, it's doubtful any of the acting will win any awards. But the bottom line in this case is Timerider is an enjoyable and likable film. It's a lot of fun if you don't take it too seriously. Fred Ward stars as a famous motorcycle rider, Lyle Swan. We first see him in a big cross-country race in the Baja Desert. Now, one thing he doesn't know is there is a group of scientists also in the Baja Desert conducting some unusual experiments dealing with time. Ward just happens to drive by the Timerider transmitter when it goes off, hurtling him back in time over 100 years. He is oblivious to the change, and this is one of the movie's flaws. He, of course, doesn't know what is going on at first, but even after some obvious things happen, he never really catches on, and I know he can't be that dumb. I mean, all of a sudden, he's being chased by a bunch of Wild West bad dudes. He rides into a village where he meets a bogus priest, played by Ed Lauter, and a beautiful lady portrayed by Belinda Bauer. She helps Ward, but even after some big clues, Ward never seems to realize he's been projected back in time. Here, Ward has a confrontation with the sheriff.
But somebody stole my bike. His machine. Okay, my machine. Someone took my machine.
Why are you telling that to us?
Well, if you are the marshals, I mean, maybe you could do something for whoever took it gets too far. I mean, can't you get on the radio?
What?
The outlaws, now having seen his unusual machine, want it, of course, and they steal it. There are some pretty funny moments in Timerider, one of which is when the machine accidentally starts and the outlaws react instinctively.
That's right. That's right. Kick it again. Harder. Kick it.
Peter Coyote does a pretty decent job in his villainous role. Belinda Bauer is sexy with a pistol, and all the supporting members have their moments. On my rating scale, Timerider skids up to a 6. There are a couple of unique twists in the plot, and the ending is surprising and unusual. Timerider's pacing is consistent, although sometimes simple logic is ignored. But for pure fun and escapism, I don't think you will be wasting your time seeing Timerider. I'm Dino Lally. It's pretty sad when you discover after seeing a 60-second promotional spot for a film that you've pretty much seen the whole thing. Spring Fever is such a project. It's a relatively boring and bland movie about preteen female tennis players. The main action centers around a girl that goes by the name of KC, played by Carling Bassett. She's a 13-year-old outcast entered in the Junior National Tennis Tournament. She's an outcast to begin with because of her Las Vegas show mom, played by Susan Anton. Yep, that's her, all right. While match point slowly approaches in the big tournament, Anton has a brief affair with a sports reporter, Frank Converse, and Carling Bassett befriends Sean Fultz. Now, she's the top-seeded player in the tournament and the daughter of a very rich couple. The parents are played by Stephen Young and a very stuffy and uppity Jessica Walter, whom you will love to hate. Now, let's see what else happens. Casey hustles money for some of her tennis games, and there's a big drug bust in a disco featuring male dancers. Yep, that's the clip, all right. The script for Spring Fever is indecisive and fairly weak, and as for acting, well, it appears everyone is at double fault. The scenes that are supposed to be serious are usually funny, and vice versa. Jessica Walter is the only one who really does any acting. The tennis scenes, I must say, are nicely done. There are a lot of good intentions in Spring Fever, but because of bad script, bad directing, and acting, they are all covered up. On my rating scale, Spring Fever only gets a 3. We also see and hear the usual amount of precocious teens getting away with the cheap laughs by using foul language. Spring Fever is not as bad a film as I originally thought, but still it's something I don't think you want to catch. I'm Dino Lally. One of the newer films showing in local theaters is called Without a Trace. It's a very interesting, suspenseful human drama starring Kate Nelligan and Judd Hirsch. The story is about a woman whose 6-year-old boy disappears on the way to school one day. Then the film takes a look at how the lives of the people affected react to that situation. In the words of the director, Without a Trace is an examination of the courage of ordinary people in extraordinary situations. All the performances are very good, particularly those of Nelligan and Hirsch. Without a Trace is a very effective, thought-provoking film. It's rated PG, and I give it a 7. Now, our producer tells me we've got to move things along, so here's a quick look at some of the other movies I can recommend for viewing this weekend.
My name is Ghandi, Mohandas K. Ghandi.
What? No one will hire you.
You've got to treat the mountains
like a defendant's judge.
Oh, I don't care.
What?
That's a funny joke, I get it.
Yeah, that is pretty funny. Well, that's it for now.
Come on, Dino, we're tight on time, but not that tight, okay? Slow down just a bit.
Slow down, right. Okay, appreciate it. Anytime. I'm sorry. Well, for those movies that you didn't get a chance to see, they were Ghandi, Timerider, Tootsie, 48 Hours, The Man from Snowy River, The Verdict, and The Dark Crystal. And now, that should be it. Next week, I'll be back to tell you about the films The Entity, Sophie's Choice, and The Personals. Until then, I'm Dino Lally. Practically no other star in motion picture history has traveled the rocky road to oblivion as fast and as painfully as Frances Farmer. She's the beautiful blonde from Seattle who in 1937 was hailed as the brightest star Hollywood had discovered in years, the next Garbo. In a 7-year span, she made 19 movies, co-starring with some of Hollywood's biggest names, such as Bing Crosby in Rhythm on the Range and Ray Milland in Ebb Tide.
You better get back on the schooner.
No, I won't. I've had enough of your drunken behavior.
She even conquered the critics on Broadway, starring in Golden Boy. Rarely has any newcomer had such a promising future. At the age of 23, she was a star. At 30, she was committed to a public madhouse declared legally insane at the insistence of her own mother.
There's no good in going on like this. You'll be back in Seattle, Francis.
The story of Frances Farmer's rise and fall has finally been dealt with by the Hollywood community that dumped her so fast 40 years ago. The film Frances features Jessica Lange in one of the strongest roles for an actress in years and who almost appears to be a reincarnation of the real thing. For 6 months, she intensely researched Frances's career.
There was only one well-made, well-acted, well-crafted film, and that was one of her first ones, Come and Get It, for Sam Goldwyn.
There?
You could see the excitement, you could see her, her interest and her fascination with the part and with the story and the director and the other actors. She was wonderful. She was just overwhelming.
While Frances Farmer was beautiful and talented, she was also extremely outspoken and independent, two traits that were to eventually lead to problems with the police, her studio bosses, and her mother. The tragic result was Frances Farmer's 6-year incarceration in the Washington State Asylum for the Insane, when, according to those who knew her best, she wasn't insane at all. It was the ruination of what could have been one of Hollywood's most brilliant careers. Tomorrow, in part 2 of my special series, The Rocky Road to Oblivion, I'll take a look at Frances Farmer's tormented years in Hollywood. I'm Dino Lawley. In 1937, Frances Farmer was being hailed by Hollywood as the greatest find since Greta Garbo. Her troubles began in 1942 while driving along the Pacific Coast Highway near Los Angeles. As recreated by Jessica Lange in the new film Frances, she was stopped by police for having her headlights on in a wartime dim-out zone. The incident developed into a fight and resulted in her arrest on charges of drunk driving.
Hey! I'd like a wake-up call. Say around 10 a.m.
As her lifelong friend and sometimes lover Stuart Jacobson recalls,
she had started to drink too much, and she had to slim down, so she'd start using speed.
But Frances didn't need alcohol to encourage her self-destructive outspokenness. Even in the presence of a courtroom judge, she spoke her mind and paid the price. In this instance, a 180-day jail sentence.
Hey, I haven't got a lawyer. What I want to know is if I got any civil rights. Have I got any civil rights?
She always had to tell the truth. This was her thing. I have to tell the truth, no matter who it hurts and everything else. This was to get her in trouble again and again and again.
Her biggest nemesis turned out to be her mother, who was living her dreams through her daughter's success. When Frances decided she wanted no more of Hollywood, it was her mother, convinced that Frances must be crazy, who arranged to have her committed to a Washington State insane asylum. There, she spent 6 years locked in the violent ward, enduring shock treatments, repeated rapes by guards, and what is widely believed to be an experimental transorbital lobotomy, performed by maneuvering an ice pick-like instrument called a leucotome under her eyelid and into her brain. When Frances was released, she was not the same woman.
It seems to me unbelievable that something like this could happen to someone of that tremendous energy and vitality.
Tomorrow, in the final part of my series, I'll show you the last national appearance by Frances Farmer, and Jessica Lange talks about how she prepared for her role in the film Frances. I'm Dino Lawley. The films Ghandi and Tootsie led the way in Academy Award nominations earlier today in Hollywood.
They seem to want me.
That's right, they do. The biography of India's spiritual leader, Mahatma Gandhi, received the most nominations at 11. Tootsie, a comedy about an actor disguised as an actress, captured 10 nominations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Among the other nomination leaders are E.T., which garnered 9. Next comes Victor Victoria with 7 nominations. An Officer and a Gentleman, and a German film called Das Boot got 6 each. Now, Ghandi and Tootsie are 2 of the 5 films named in the Best Picture category. The other 3 are E.T. the Extraterrestrial, Missing, and The Verdict. In the Best Actor category are Ben Kingsley in Ghandi, Dustin Hoffman for Tootsie, Jack Lemmon in Missing, Paul Newman for The Verdict, and Peter O'Toole in My Favorite Year. For Best Actress, the nominees are Jessica Lange for Frances, Meryl Streep for Sophie's Choice, Julie Andrews in Victor Victoria, Sissy Spacek in Missing, and Deborah Winger in An Officer and a Gentleman. Jessica Lange became the first woman in 40 years to earn nominations for both Best Actress and Best Supporting Actress. Now, not only is she in the Best Actress category, she is nominated for Best Supporting Actress in Tootsie. And along with her are Terry Garr, also in Tootsie, Kim Stanley in Frances, Glenn Close in The World According to Garp, and Leslie Ann Warren in Victor Victoria. The nominees for Best Supporting Actor are Charles Durning in Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, John Lithgow in The World According to Garp, Robert Preston in Victor Victoria, James Mason in The Verdict, and Lou Gossett Jr. in An Officer and a Gentleman. And come April 11th, we will all know who the winners are. And now, changing pace a bit, here's a quick look at picking the flicks for the weekend. I can recommend Sophie's Choice, Without a Trace, Timerider, Ghandi, and Tootsie. And that's it for now. I hope you have a nice movie watching weekend. I'm Dino Raleigh.